Anyone who's been with the channel a while, and certainly anyone who knows me, knows that in many instances I have quite strong opinions on certain issues and on certain matters. Now, I think it's very important as an individual to have opinions because it gives you direction, it gives you a moral compass, and it gives you a code by which to live your life. There are, however, downsides, particularly when, like myself, you choose to project your opinions onto other people, i.e. via this YouTube channel. Now, whether or not people give a toss what I think is neither here nor there, and I'm certainly sure that there's an awful lot of people who don't. In fact, people seem quite keen to tell me that they don't care about my opinions down in the comments section, so thanks a lot for sharing. But when you do that, you kind of set a bit of a rod for your own back, because if you talk to people and if you can spend enough time thinking about or talking about a topic like I do with gambling, there is a propensity that at some point you're going to change your mind or you're going to change your opinion on certain aspects of that subject. A couple of years ago, I made a video talking about gambling affiliation and about affiliate streamers and all those sorts of things that people get really, really het up about. And someone who was on YouTube at the time, a channel by the name of Affiliates Are Fake, yes, anyone remember them? A very nice gentleman decided to make a whole video talking about how I contradicted myself and how a video 2 years prior to that said something completely different about my opinions on affiliate streamers. Now, actually, it wasn't that different, but that's by the by. The fact is that people's opinions do change, and in this video, I want to address a more recent instance where I made a video talking about a certain topic and about a certain opinion that I held, where I have actually since come to change my mind. Firstly, just want to say hi, hope you're keeping safe, hope you're keeping sane. Thank you to everyone who's clicked on this video. Thank you to everyone's continued support here on YouTube and also down on my Patreon. There will be a link in the description below. If you choose to support me that way, you will get additional content and other bits and pieces from me, and I really, really appreciate anyone who chooses to support me in that way. If you don't, but you do think the videos are interesting or informative or whatever, or you just like my snazzy hat, then just do the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, comment, all that great thing, and that's very, very much appreciated. So thank you to everyone. If I haven't got round to replying to your comments, and if I haven't got round to replying to you on Patreon yet, then my apologies. As per my previous video, I have been away, so I am catching up slowly. Do have patience with me. I do have other stuff going on as well, but I will get round to you. So thank you very much again for all your support. So let's talk about somewhere where I've changed my opinion. Now, in a not so distant video, I spoke about judging other people. I said that actually, you shouldn't judge other people, but what you can do is to use other people and other people's circumstances as a benchmark by which to choose your direction in life. I used the example of me going to the pub every day, as I had done historically, and seeing the same people and the rut in which they were living their lives. The health issues they were experiencing, the financial issues they were experiencing, the fact that many of them were divorced or living in very unhappy circumstances, maybe other separations within the family or loss of jobs or whatever. And I saw these people, and whilst I didn't want to judge them personally for the way they chose to live their lives or other aspects of themselves, maybe their physical appearance or their physical health or whatever, I was saying that it's perfectly acceptable to look at people who are maybe living their lives in a sort of slightly destructive way and use that as a benchmark to go, you know what, I don't want to be in that position X amount of years down the line. Okay, that doesn't mean you're necessarily taking that person personally. You're just literally using them as an example of how certain behaviours and certain habits that we can develop in life can lead you to become a certain person in the future. And I was wrong. I was wrong to say that you shouldn't judge them as people. And the reason I say this is because I want to be judged. I have made the decision that I want to be judged, and I wish that I had been judged sooner. So let me explain. I was actually in the pub, this was a little while ago, but I started thinking about it again quite recently. And there's a guy in there who plays the fruit machines, right? And he plays the fruit machines in a compulsive and addictive way. He loses far more money than he can afford to, and he's quite well known for it. People make comments about him. People make comments within earshot of him so he can hear them. And old me, not that long ago, and before I had this sort of little revelation, thought, well, that's incredibly mean. This person obviously has an addiction. They obviously have a compulsion and a problem. And to outwardly, openly and vocally judge them so that they can hear, and it was a deliberate action so that this person could hear their comments, is unnecessarily cruel. And then I related it to my own addiction. and to something else in my life. And that thing, which I talked about very recently, was my obesity. And the common modern consensus is that we shouldn't be mean to people. We shouldn't say things to people that will necessarily or potentially hurt their feelings. And this has become no more true than about weight. But I would also apply this to this gentleman in question and his gambling addiction. I went through many years of my life drinking too much. And as a result, and as a knock-on effect of the drinking, but also other factors, I became obese, as I said in a recent video. Modern logic would say that you don't fat shame people. You don't shame people by talking about certain elements of their character, be that physically or habitually. But I think that's wrong. I will put a caveat on this and say, look, we cannot and we should not criticise, mock, belittle people for things they simply cannot change. Their height, their sexuality, dare I say things like skin colour. I mean, that should go without saying, right? Things people cannot change, things that are inherent to them as a person, an inherent characteristic they cannot change, should not be criticised. Disabilities, certainly, anything like that, right? Isms. Don't partake in isms, is what I'm saying. But if someone is drinking too much, eating too much, they're overweight, you can see they are partaking in a destructive habit, then I think it should become more acceptable to call people out on that. I wish that people had been more vocal in their criticism of my gambling habits back in the day. I wish that people had spoken negatively about my weight or about my drinking, because it's only by addressing these things myself, by realising myself that I had these issues and looking at myself in the mirror and going, my God, Phil, you're fat. Or looking at my bank statement and going, oh my God, you're spending far too much money in the pub. Or waking up another morning and feeling like shit because I drank too much beer the night before. Or waking up one last time and realising, oh my God, I've done me bollocks again after payday and I haven't got any money to last me the rest of the month. It was down to me to realise these things before I was actually able to take action on them and improve my life. Now, I am far from being Slimming World Slimmer of the Year, and yes, I've taken a break from alcohol, but I'm far from being, Mr. Sobriety, okay? But just making and assessing and addressing these things in my life that I'm doing too much, these bad habits that I've created for myself, even in the smallest terms, not by quitting everything entirely, not by going full hell for leather and going to the gym 17 hours a day. By addressing the things that were holding me back in my life, I have managed to make improvements and feel better about myself. I have managed to rediscover clothes that now fit me because I addressed that obesity, that fatness, using that F word that we are so afraid to use in modern society because we deem it to be the ultimate insult. Well, it's not. Yes, there will be a small portion of people who cannot control their weight because of genetic issues or because of health conditions, right? I'm not talking about these people. So please don't use exceptions to criticise my rule. There is nothing wrong with, in relatively tactful ways, dare I say, talking to people about these issues that may be affecting them. This enabling of people's addictions or people's issues, people's bad habits, is incredibly detrimental to them. You are doing someone no favours. If someone comes to you and says, oh, I'm really fat, I'm overweight, going, no, don't worry, babes. I'm doing my best. I'm not even going to attempt a female accent. Don't worry, babes, you're beautiful, People need to accept you as you are. That's no use. If someone comes to you and tells you that they're struggling with their weight and they want to do something and they're unhappy and they feel ugly every time they look in the mirror, then you can do something to help them, not by saying, yeah, absolutely right, fatty. Don't say that. But listen to them, talk to them, maybe discuss ways that you can do something together that's going to address this problem. Just saying, oh, ignore the haters, ignore the fat shaming, you're beautiful, you're amazing, don't worry about it. You're doing that person no favours. You might think you're protecting their feelings, but you're not protecting their health or their mental well-being. They have acknowledged they have a problem. So it's possible to judge people. If those people that were criticising this guy in the pub for their gambling openly, vocally, so he could hear it, if I'd heard that more and more times when I was gambling, and I heard people talking about me more and more about how I was pissing my life away and wasting my money and being an idiot, then maybe I would have addressed the problem sooner bettered myself, done myself more favours. Those people could have been helping me, rather than keep it to yourself because it's mean to talk about people's bad habits, bad behaviours, or negative facets of their character or their person. If you're drinking too much and someone says you're drinking too much, if enough people hear it, enough people say it, and you hear it often enough, then maybe something will click in your brain, something will trigger you to do something about it, to get, not necessarily into recovery, but to start building better habits, going to the gym, keeping off the booze, doing whatever it is, right? And I'm not here preaching, I'm not here saying that I'm the finished article. I'm fucking miles away from being the finished article. But this mentality, this modern mentality of we mustn't say anything that hurts people's feelings, is incredibly damaging to people, because it stops people from realising they do have a problem. And when people do have a problem, don't rally around and say you haven't got a problem, you're fine the way you are, everyone needs to accept you. No. If that person has accepted they've got a problem, what you need to do is you need to talk to that person and say, right, great, okay, no worries. What can we do to help? How can we work together to be better together, to elevate ourselves, rather than just, facilitating these bad habits by being, let's not be nasty, be kind, let's not say anything negative about each other. Fuck it, I'm fat, right? I've got a beer gut. People point out my beer gut. It's just more motivation for me to go to the gym and for me to stay off the beer until I've addressed that problem. And I can guarantee in doing that, I will feel a whole lot better about myself. So I take it back. Okay? You can judge people. If they've judged themselves, don't facilitate it by telling them there's not a problem. If there is a problem, let them know that you're there to help them and to support them, and maybe offer advice or ways you can help each other together to address this problem and actually better both of yourselves, rather than just burying your head in the sand and telling you, oh no, you're fine the way you are, because maybe you're not fine the way you are. I spent half of my life not being fine the way they are, and I'm not fine the way I am now. There's things I need to change, and I'm going to continue to try and do that. But if people point it out, then maybe I'll address it that little bit sooner. Stay safe, stay sane. Patreon link in the description below. Go over there for additional content, go over that stuff. Appreciate everyone who supports me in whatever way that might be. I'm going for a lie down. Take it easy. All the best.